Ever found yourself driving somewhere familiar, only to realize you can't remember the last few miles? Your mind was somewhere else entirely.
That, my friend, is the autopilot Eckhart Tolle talks about in The Power of Now.
Today, we're your shortcut to his powerful ideas on escaping the clutches of our own minds and actually living in the present moment.
And we're diving deep into this with excerpts straight from the source Tolle's book, which unfolds in a really engaging question and answer format.
Okay, let's unpack this. Tolle starts with a question for you. Are you truly aware of the present moment most of the time? Honestly, I know I'm usually replaying the past or planning the future, but rarely fully here.
It's this disconnect that Tolle links directly to our suffering.
He doesn't just lay this out as a theory, though.
He gets to the heart of why it matters and how our minds, while amazing tools, can become our biggest obstacle.
It's like he's saying our minds are meant to be used, not lived in.
He even uses the analogy of a tool you pick up and put down, not something that runs the show 24/7.
Exactly. And the more we identify with those racing thoughts, those churning emotions, the further we drift from our true selves.
Tolle calls this deeper dimension being.
It reminds me of that story Tolle tells about the Native American chief observing white people. He noted how they always seemed to be searching, restless, never at ease.
The chief recognized they'd lost touch with that present moment, with being.
It's a powerful image of how that constant seeking, that inability to be present, fuels our suffering.
We're always chasing after the next thing instead of appreciating what's right in front of us.
And our minds are experts at pulling us out of the now, dwelling on past mistakes.
Which leads to guilt, regret, bitterness, all those heavy emotions.
Or anxiously anticipating the future.
Causing stress, worry, and keeping us from fully experiencing the present moment.
And all the while, life is just happening.
Tolle reminds us that the present moment is the only place where life truly unfolds.
He suggests it's not just where life happens, but the key to breaking free from needless suffering.
This is where it gets really interesting. He introduces the idea that there are different levels of unconsciousness we're typically operating within.
So it's not just being asleep versus awake. There's a deeper level to this.
Exactly. He talks about our default setting as ordinary unconsciousness, where we're basically merged with our thoughts and emotions, letting them call the shots. But then there's deep unconsciousness.
Which sounds a little scary. What's that all about?
Think about those times you reacted to a situation totally out of character, later thinking, who was that?
That's the ego completely taking over, a total hijacking.
Tolle argues that all negativity stems from this buildup of psychological time and denying the present moment.
So becoming more present isn't just about finding inner peace. It's about breaking free from a cycle of negativity that impacts us and the world around us.
Precisely. It's a profound idea. Personal transformation as a ripple effect. But how do we tap into this power of now?
Because it's easy to say be present, but how do we actually do it?
Especially amidst the everyday chaos of life. It's not like the world stops and waits for us to find our zen.
That's where Tolle's insights become incredibly practical.
One of the simplest yet most powerful things he suggests is becoming aware of our inner body.
I mean, like actually paying attention to physical sensations.
Exactly. Our breath, for example, can be a powerful anchor.
By focusing on each inhale and exhale, we ground ourselves in our physical presence and quiet that mental chatter.
He talks about how, for most people, true presence is a rare and accidental experience.
But with practice, we can change that. It makes you think about those biblical verses like, take no thought for the morrow.
It's not just poetic language, it's pointing to a profound truth about how to live.
Exactly. They were invitations to shift our perspective, to stop worrying about the future and find peace in the present. And this brings us to another one of Tolle's key concepts for bridging the gap between the chaos of life and the peace of the now. Finding the joy of being. Finding the joy of being. It sounds almost too simple. How does Tolle suggest we actually tap into that?
Well, he offers this kind of really practical question to ask yourself. Is there joy, ease, and lightness in what I'm doing? It's like a litmus test for presence.
Oh, I like that. So if the answer is no, it's a sign we're probably stuck in our heads, resisting the present moment and creating our own suffering.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial concept from the book, surrender. Now, before you think, wait, surrender, doesn't that sound passive? Tolle's point is that true surrender can be a form of power.
Okay. I'm intrigued. My initial reaction to surrender isn't exactly powerful. What's he getting at?
It's understandable. We often link surrender with, like, giving up or resigning ourselves to a bad situation. But Tully's talking about something much deeper. He means letting go of that inner resistance to what is, allowing the present moment to be as it is without judgment or the need to control everything.
So it's not about passively accepting a bad situation, but shifting our internal state so we can respond to the situation more effectively.
You got it. It's about aligning ourselves with the flow of life rather than constantly swimming upstream. And in that alignment, we tap into a deeper source of power, the power of being.
It's like that story Tolle tells about the butcher who says, "Every piece of meat I have is the best. There is no piece of meat here that is not the best." He wasn't being delusional. He was seeing things from this surrendered perspective.
What a great example. He'd surrendered to the present moment, and in that surrender, he could see the inherent perfection in every situation.
So surrender is about shifting our perspective, seeing beyond the mind's judgments and interpretations to the underlying reality.
Yes. And this shift can have a huge impact on our relationships. When we're present, we can see beyond someone's outward form to their true essence.
It's like we stop filtering them through our past experiences and expectations and encounter them fresh, in the now.
Precisely. And in that space of presence and acceptance, deeper connection becomes possible. Tolle compares someone who surrendered to a deep, undisturbed lake. The surface might be choppy with waves, but the depths are still.
So we're not denying or suppressing our emotions, but letting them come and go without getting swept away. We become the aware observer.
Beautifully put. And from that place of awareness, we can respond to our emotions and life's challenges with more wisdom and clarity. This is where things get really interesting. Tolle challenges the very way we view difficult experiences. He calls them limit situations, things like illness, loss, heartbreak.
So those moments that can really knock us off our feet cause intense suffering. Is he saying we should just passively accept those?
Not at all. He's saying these limit situations can be powerful catalysts for transformation. They shake us out of autopilot and force us to confront what truly matters. They push us towards surrender.
Because when we hit rock bottom, the only way is up.
Exactly. In those moments when old coping mechanisms crumble, we're often most open to surrendering to a power greater than ourselves, a deeper wisdom.
Like he describes in those incredible stories of people on death row who, in their final moments, experience profound peace and acceptance.
Those are powerful examples of the transformative power of surrender, even in the face of extreme circumstances. He's not encouraging us to seek out suffering, of course, but he suggests these difficult emotions can become portals to a deeper dimension within ourselves, what he calls the unmanifested.
Okay, now we're getting into some pretty profound territory. What exactly does he mean by the unmanifested? So the unmanifested.
Yeah.
It's like we're talking about a whole other dimension here. How does Tolle describe it?
Well, he says it's the formless essence that lies beyond the physical realm, the source of all creation. You could think of it as pure consciousness, the very ground of being, what some might even call the divine.
So it's that ultimate reality that connects us all, even if we don't always see it.
Exactly. And Tolle says we can access this dimension within ourselves through different, portals, one of the most powerful being the inner body.
Right, like we talked about earlier, really tuning into physical sensations.
Yes. By withdrawing our attention from the external world and focusing inward, we create space for the unmanifested to emerge.
It's like we're quieting the noise of the mind and tuning into a deeper frequency, a subtler awareness.
Precisely. And he emphasizes that the cessation of thinking is another crucial portal. That's what meditation is all about, isn't it?
Creating those gaps in the constant stream of thoughts.
Exactly. Thought is part of the manifested world, the world of form. Our minds kind of keep us trapped there, but when we can quiet them, even for a moment, we get a glimpse of the unmanifested, that formless, timeless essence within us and everything around us.
So we don't have to be meditating masters to experience this. We can find these portals in everyday life.
Absolutely. Every moment has the potential to be a doorway to the unmanifested. It's about shifting our attention, becoming present, and allowing the magic to unfold. One of the most fascinating aspects of Tolle's work is how he connects these spiritual concepts to the nitty-gritty of our lives, to those everyday challenges.
He's not talking about enlightenment as some distant goal,
Mm-hmm.
but as a way of being, a way of relating to ourselves, to others, to life itself right now.
Exactly. And that brings us to another key insight from the power of now, the interconnectedness of all things.
Okay, let's unpack this idea of interconnectedness. So it's like we're all individual waves, but part of the same ocean. I get that metaphor, but how does that actually play out in our lives?
That's where it gets really interesting. Think about it this way. When you recognize that you are not just this isolated individual, but part of something much larger and more interconnected, it changes how you see the world. It changes how you see other people.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's like instead of seeing everyone as separate from us, we start to recognize our shared humanity. We're all in this together, right?
Exactly. And that realization can have a profound impact on how we treat each other. It becomes harder to hold on to anger, resentment, or judgment when you understand that on a deeper level, you are connected to everyone and everything.
It's like that saying, hurt people hurt people. When we're caught up in our own egos, our own pain, it's easy to lash out or judge others. But when we're grounded in this awareness of oneness, we're more likely to respond with compassion and understanding, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And what's even more fascinating is that our own inner state, our level of presence, can actually influence those around us.
You mean like our energy can rub off on other people?
It's more than just rubbing off. Tolle suggests that when we're connected to our own being, when we're present and grounded, we emit a certain energy, a certain quality of awareness that can actually help others to become more conscious themselves. It's like we're radiating a frequency that has the power to elevate those around us.
That's a pretty powerful idea.
Yeah.
So by cultivating our own inner peace, our own presence, we're not just helping ourselves, but we're actually contributing to a more conscious and compassionate world.
Precisely. And it's not about trying to change anyone or force our beliefs on others. It's about embodying these qualities ourselves, being living examples of presence, peace, and joy.
It reminds me of that Gandhi quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world."
Exactly. It's about inner transformation, not just external activism. And that inner transformation is an ongoing process.
So you're saying that even people who've achieved a high level of consciousness, who are really tapped into this power of now, they still face challenges, they still experience ups and downs in life.
Absolutely. We're all human, after all. It's not about becoming some kind of perfect, emotionless robot. It's about learning to navigate the human experience with greater awareness, presence, and compassion.
It's about embracing the fullness of life with all its complexities and contradictions, the joy and the sorrow, the light and the darkness. It's all part of this incredible journey.
Beautifully said. And as we wrap up our deep dive into the power of now, I want to leave you with this question. What if true happiness and fulfillment aren't about achieving some distant goal, but about the quality of your awareness at this very moment?
So maybe everything we've been seeking is already right here within us, waiting to be discovered in the stillness of the present moment.
That's the power of now.
A powerful note to end on. Until next time, keep diving deep.